to another episode of Soul Shift, where we talk all things life, love, and anything and everything in between. I'm your host, Dani, and today's episode is going to be all about a topic that's actually really close to my heart, which is finding faith and refinding your faith in everyday moments. I have to be honest, this is something that I've struggled with immensely over the last few years. I have to say, about three, almost 4 years. I've truly been struggling with my faith, and I am just recently, and I mean like a month, 2 months tops, recent beginning to find true joy and faith in my life again. So, if you can relate to that, or you're just curious to know what the heck happened to me to get me in such a strange place with my faith, keep on listening. So, faith to me is not just on Sundays, what happens on Sundays in the church. Faith to me is not just in the church building. It's really about how we navigate and operate in our everyday life, meaning finding meaning and purpose in all the moments. And to be totally honest, I've been in a place for the last few years where I had not even been to church, like not even in the building, in about 2 to 3 years. And my faith in God, I think, was still in the building while I was at home. There are times when life will throw us a curveball that will shake us to our core. And that's what happened to me. That's what happened to me. And that's what totally rocked my world and really interrupted my faith. I experienced such a devastating loss, surprising, tragic loss, and it shattered my faith completely. My uncle, who is my mom's little brother, he was like a brother to me, honestly. I can't remember a time in my life where he and I weren't incredibly close. I'm very close to his children. They're like my sisters slash nieces, and I love them so much. But he passed away tragically. And that's a whole nother story for another day. I won't get all into it so I don't cry. But in that moment, it felt like my entire world had crumbled around me, like everything. Nothing was the same for me, and I was literally drowning. I could feel myself drowning. I was in grief, I was angry, and I was confused. And I lost my faith, and I lost my joy, and everyday moments were truly like a never-ending cycle of misery. It was just a highlight reel of everything I saw and experienced that day, and things I couldn't control were just destroying me. I would wake up in the morning and I would already be counting down the minutes until I could get back into bed and go to sleep. There was no light, there was no hope, just overwhelming sadness, and it consumed me completely. And I was angry. I was so angry that this had happened. I was so angry at God. I was so mad. I had always believed in the power of prayer since I was little. You know, my grandparents, my parents, they prayed. They always said, you just pray, you talk to God, you pray. And I believed that and I did that. So when my uncle had his accident and, we found out about it and we're rushing to, do all that needed to be done, I prayed, and I prayed harder than I had ever in my life prayed before. And I begged God. I pleaded with God, and I poured my heart and my soul into those prayers. And I believed with every fiber of my being. You could not tell me that God wouldn't answer my prayer. But he didn't. He didn't. And it broke me. I had been good. I've been good. I've believed in you. I've trusted, and I've done everything you've asked me to do as a Christian. And this is the one time I really need you. I really need you now. And he didn't give me what I asked for. And for the first time in my life, I questioned every single thing I believed in. I questioned his existence. I questioned his love for me. Because if you love me, why would you do this to me? Why would you make me watch these kids go through this? Why would you make me watch my grandmother go through this? If you love me, why are you doing this to me? And I questioned his plan, because that was the main thing people would say to me. Oh, it's all in God's plan. God has a plan. Everything has a reason. Everything has a plan. And in the moment, what the heck could be the plan for this? Why does this need to happen to our family? I'd been faithful. I didn't ask for much. I had a decent life. God had really blessed me at that point, and I didn't ask for much. I Most of my prayers were just out of thanks. Thanks for everything he was doing and would do. And I'd been faithful, I trusted, and yet he didn't come through when I needed him most, and it was devastating. There's a lot of growth, tears, therapy, and drinking. I mean, it was not pretty, but slowly, I started to realize that faith isn't just about the big, miraculous moments. It's about the everyday moments, finding God in every little moment, the mundane and the messy moments. It's trusting that when things don't go according to plan, there is an even bigger plan at play. So I started to look for those things. I started to look for God in all of the little things. I started to look for blessings. I started to look for the signs that He was still good. The sky became huge for me. It'd be beautiful. The sky is beautiful. And sometimes it would just be these vivid colors, just gorgeous. It looks like heaven is right there. And I would intentionally, even at that moment my faith was so shaken, I would make it a point to thank God for making something so beautiful, to remind me that my uncle is in an even more beautiful place. And just did that. I just continued to do that. I was always happy with my daughter, but I became more intentional in thanking God for the little things that we overlook. Like my daughter being able to laugh. She would laugh and I would say, "Oh, thank God she has a voice. Thank you, Lord, that I can hear her laugh." The tiniest things I just began to obsess over to try and rebuild this faith. And like I said, this was not just this was therapy. It was a lot of things that were happening. And I just had to be intentional. Even the tiniest things I had to focus on and see how God was in the midst of it. Someone held a door for me. Thank you, Jesus. They didn't let that door slam in my face. It was that, it was that specific to really help me rebuild. And you know what? Through it all, I began to find him again. I found him in moments where I least expected him and the moments where I needed him the most. And it was not easy. And it did not happen overnight. Like I told y'all, I'm just getting back to me and my faith and in church and being involved in my church. And it has been almost 3 years. It will be 3 years here soon. But I began to rediscover and I found more joy and finding my purpose. And that is a story for a whole nother episode. But that honestly, this that I'm telling you about right now led to this podcast and this movement that I'm trying to begin with Soul Shift. Because through that process, I met so many people, and I will cry if I think about them too much, but so many people who need to hear that there are people like them. I met people who told me it looked like I have a perfect life. My life is not perfect. And they needed to see that I struggle too. And that's powerful to me. And that's one of the main reasons why Soul Shift is here, is that I want people to see that you are not the only one going through whatever you're going through. Your thoughts could be dark. Other people have those thoughts too. It's just a matter of how you manage it, how you deal with it, and there is people there to help you work through it. I learned that faith isn't about having all the answers or never doubting. You're going to have doubts, you're going to have questions sometimes, but it's about embracing that and finding peace in it and just trusting that there's a greater plan and a purpose, and you'll find it out along the way. I figured it out along the way. I was not sure I would, but I did. And like I said, this will be another episode all about the purpose and the redirection of my life. But God laid all of this out before I even knew it was going to happen. I had been a teacher for almost 10 years, special education, and I began to hate the position I was in, not because of my students, but because of all of the testing and the restrictions and the way that we had to treat these children as if they were just numbers. I began to hate that because that's not teaching to me. And the minute the students weren't the most important in my room, I knew I had to leave. So my husband and I kind of got that together and made a plan for me to make that shift to only doing my sports marketing. And I'm thrilled with that. But I left that job in February 2021, and I questioned it, and I felt so lost. I said February, I'm so sorry. June of 2021, I left that job. That was my last school year, June 2021. And I never looked back, never went back. My uncle died September 2021. And I would not have made it if I had to put on a brave face for those kids. In September, when we went back to work, it's like God knew. He did know. And I had to reflect on that he protected me in that moment. He made me more available to my family. He made me be able to go through this the way I needed to, because I wasn't in that teaching mode anymore. But there are so many things, so many Jesus winks, as I call them, that help me rebuild here. And we'll talk more about that as our episodes go on throughout the seasons. But I just wanted to give you that little bit of encouragement if you need it today. And that's going to be a wrap on today's episode. It's a short episode, but a huge meaning. And I hope that you take this into your weekend and into your week. And thank you for joining me on this deeply personal episode. Please remember that even in your darkest moments, there is a light that is shining bright. If you just look for it, you have to look for it, y'all, because I was searching. I was searching for a long time. And thank God that with faith, my husband was major in this supporting me with this. So surround yourself with good people. Surround yourself with the right people. But as you go about your day, I encourage you to keep your eyes open for those moments of grace, those little glimpses of God, the Jesus winks that I was talking about. Look for his love and presence in your life. Look for the things where it's like, God, like that was unexpected. There are no coincidences. I don't believe in them. Everything is planned out. Everything, every minute, every second is already supposed to be happening. God has already put that in place for you. And I'm thankful for that. There's a peace in knowing that I don't have to think too hard because God has already done it for me. If you're going through a rough patch, if you've lost your faith or your joy, know you're not alone. Been there, deep in there. If you need to talk to me, if you want more details about my journey and what I've been through, I'm always available. Send me a DM on Instagram, wherever you want, wherever you find me. In the show notes, you can see all the ways to get in touch. But keep holding on, keep trusting, and keep believing that brighter days are ahead because they truly are. Until next time, friends, stay strong, stay resilient, and keep embracing the shifts.